And we're going to turn to page 109 in your grammar books. So go there. Page 109. Looks like this. I have a feeling you guys know about contractions. I think you've learned them before. So hopefully this is super easy for you. Contractions are those words that we put together and we take out a letter and then put an apostrophe in there, and it makes two words into one. So here's a list of all the contractions. And I bet you know these. Cannot, they changed it to can't. By the way, cannot is one word, even though it's can and not together, but then they made it even shorter by putting an apostrophe there. And it says the apostrophe shows where the no, N-O, has been removed. So cannot is changed to can't, and then could not is couldn't. You guys know these, right? Give me a thumbs up if you've seen these before. Okay, good. That's what I thought. Did not is didn't. Do not is don't. He had, he'd. He would, he'd. That one's a little tricky because they both look the same, he'd and he'd. It is, it's. She will, she'll. They are, they're. And was not, wasn't. Those are all the contractions right there. So in this book, they're going to mess up on purpose and you have to figure it out, okay? You have to look for the mistake. So here it says, place an apostrophe to show where a letter or letters have been removed. So look at the example sentence at the bottom here. It says, the soldier didn't know that the princess had stolen his bag. That word didn't, they forgot the apostrophe and then they added it later. That's why it's darker right there. But they're going to put these words in there without the apostrophe and they want you to catch that. And then you have to write in the apostrophe. That sounds pretty easy, huh? I mean, to me, that sounds pretty easy. So do you guys have any questions about this page with contractions? If you don't have any questions, just shake your head no. Okay. I see that. Let's go on to page 111. Does anybody feel like reading it today? Okay, Lacey, go for it.
He sat hopelessly on the damp grass and didn't move for a long time.
Good, nice reading. And the word damp, does anybody know what damp means? Go ahead, Lacey, what is damp?
Wet?
Yeah, it's wet. Like, you know, in the mornings, sometimes the grass is wet outside. Early in the morning, it's just because there's a lot of moisture in the air. So damp just means a little bit wet. So go ahead and put that check mark there by vocabulary. And then there's two articles. Go ahead and find those by yourself. And then I'm going to have Christopher tell me where the nouns are.
Grass.
Good.
Time.
Good. Grass and time. Good. There's only two. And then Liana, how about the pronoun? There's only one in here. Remember what those are? Remember what a pronoun is? A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. So if it's a girl, it's a word like she. If it's a boy, it's he or it. If it's a thing, you see any of those types of words in there?
Yeah, he.
Yes, good. He is the pronoun. Good. And then Lacey, what about the adjectives?
Damp
Good. Damp is one.
and long.
And long. Good.
And there's an ly in there too.
Where's the ly, Lacey?
He sat hopelessly.
Helplessly. Good. We're going to put ly on that. And then back to Christopher, where's the coordinating conjunction? Remember what those are?
And
Good. And that's fanboys. You guys remember that? Fanboys. And now I'm going to skip prepositional phrases. We'll come back to that. But Liana, look for those words that show action. Oh, do you want to? You can finish eating that. I'll come back to you. I know you're eating breakfast right now. How about Lacey? Where are the action words or the helping verbs? I'm going to give this one to Lacey. Are you looking for them? Okay.
Wait, what am I looking for?
You're looking for verbs. You know, there's two action words in there. Do you see the action words, like what they're doing?
Move
Move is one.
and sat.
Sat, good. And then there's a helping verb right before the word move.
Didn't.
Good. And it's the did. Put it over did and didn't. By the way, there's something about that word didn't we need to fix, Lacey. Do you know what it is?
I don't know what it's called, but I do know.
Yes, it's an apostrophe. Is that what you were thinking?
Yes.
Apostrophe. I knew you knew it. It's that little mark like that. It should go between the N and the T. Remember, I told you earlier they were going to forget that on purpose.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. So back to Liana. Tell me who the subjects are. So who was it that sat helplessly? It's right before that. So who? Yes, he is the subject. Good. And then that's it. That's the only subject for that sentence. And then Christopher, there's two prepositional phrases. Do you see those in there?
On
Good. And the whole phrase? How far does it go?
damp grass
On the damp grass is one. What's the other one?
for a long time.
Good, Christopher. Yes. Remember, on didn't have a label. That's a clue for you. And then for didn't have a label either. So those are clues to help you find those. Easy. And then Lacey, what about the capital? What word should be capitalized?
For H.
The H on he, good. And then for Liana, what do we put at the end of the sentence?
A period?
Good, a period. And then we already fixed the apostrophe, so we're done. Good job, you guys. So don't forget, when you work on your homework, you're going to do it by yourself, and then your mom is going to check it for you with the answer key, and then make a mark with a different color if you miss anything, just so I can see what you guys miss. Okay, so make sure you start doing that on your grammar now. Okie doke. Yes, Lacey?
I think, is it for coordinating conjunction?
Oh, you know what? You're right. That's really good. So sometimes it's a coordinating conjunction, and sometimes it is a prepositional phrase. So it depends on how it's used in the sentence. If it has a verb next to it or near it, that means it's going to be more of a coordinating conjunction. That's a really good question. I like that because you're right. It is. On fanboys, it's the F, for. But the way it was in this sentence, it was a prepositional phrase. So you just kind of have to pay attention to how it's used. And I think that we're going to have more of those to look at in this book later. Good question. Okay, now for your binders. You guys finished up your report on desert reptiles. And I went through and looked at, I think everybody's, I have a couple left, I think, to grade, but you guys all did a great job on that with your topic clenchers and all of your dress up words. And remember, you guys wrote about the Sahara sand viper and the Gray's monitor and the Mojave rattlesnake. You put that together in a report and you did a great job with that. So I'm going to have you put that away because we're done with that report now. So you can put all of week 10 about desert reptiles. You can put that away behind finished compositions. Lacey?
I don't think I turned mine in yet.
Oh, okay. If you're still working on it, then go ahead and keep it in your front pocket. I
Well,
thought I saw you.
I finished mine, but I don't think I turned it in.
Okay, maybe after class, somebody can help you with that, okay?
Yeah.
I'll check it when you turn it in. Since you're done with it, then I guess you can put away go ahead and put all of the week 10 about desert reptiles, all of the different articles that we used, your checklist, your keyword outline, all of that can go behind finished compositions or in another binder if you have another binder where you're keeping that stuff. Once you put away, you know the drill. Once you put away week 10, then you're going to get out week 11 from the front of your binder behind source text tab. And that one looks like this. It's called Antarctica. So when you're done putting away desert reptiles, I want you to get out week 11 called Antarctica, and you need a piece of lined paper too. When you're ready, give me a thumbs up. So you should have week 11. It's only 3 pages long. And a piece of lined paper and your pen or your pencil. Make sure you guys close your rings, okay? Because you don't want things falling out. Okay, I see that, Liana. Good job. Are you ready, Christopher? And you have your lined paper too? Okay, good. Good job. And Lacey, good job, guys. Okay, go to your lined paper first. We're going to start with the lined paper. We're going to take some notes here. And you know what to do. Put your name here. Today's date is 2/14. It's Valentine's Day. 2/14/24. And I'm going to put a little heart there just for fun because it's Valentine's Day. Go ahead and skip a line, and then I want you to put unit 4, and then you're going to write summarizing a reference. And then on that word summarizing, I just want you to underline just the SUM part of summarizing. And then we're going to talk about that. I know I've told you about this before, but I want to see if you remember. Do you remember what SUM sum, where have you seen that word SUM before? SUM, not the whole word summarizing, but just if I cover that up and look at SUM, that's a word I've seen somewhere else before. I've seen it in math. Yeah. Remember when you add numbers together, the sum is the total. When you add numbers together, SUM. But remember how I said, I don't like how they spell it here, because in writing, we're not writing the total information. We're writing SOME, that word sum. SOME means part, not the whole thing. Remember that when I told you, you ask your mom for some cake, Mom, can I have some cake? And obviously you're not asking for the whole cake because you know your mom's going to say no to that. But if you ask for some cake, she might say yes, you know, because you want a piece of cake, right? So SOME for writing means we're taking some information and writing a report about it, just like you guys did for the desert reptiles report. But this one's a little bit different because remember in the desert reptiles report, you guys had one whole article just about the Sahara sand viper. And then you had one whole article just about the Mojave rattlesnake, and then a different article for Gray's monitor. Well, today we only have one article to read, and it's about Antarctica. So go ahead and skip a line, and somewhere in the middle, go ahead and write Antarctica. 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 And right underneath that, I'm going to have you put KWO. You know what that means, keyword outline. And I'm going to have you just set it up. Before we get started reading, I'm going to have you set up this keyword outline. So skip a line, Roman numeral 1. You guys know how to do this. And then 1 to 5. I'm going to give you a minute to write this down. Skip a line, Roman numeral 2, 1 to 5. And then Roman numeral 3, 1 to 5. I like to get it all ready for us so we know exactly where things go. Try your best to keep things kind of neat. Try to make your numbers in a row, kind of tidy like that. I don't want it to get too out of whack there. So try to keep it all in line. And once you have that written down, give me a thumbs up. So while you're working on that, good, I see that. You're going to write, I see that, you're going to write a 3-paragraph report on Antarctica, but it's a little bit different because this time it's all in one article. So what we're going to do is look for possible topics about Antarctica to write about. Did you get this down, Christopher? You got it? Okay. So let's look at the article next. Here, from the pages you took out of your binder, this is page 93, called Antarctica. And notice it's long. If you look at the back, look at that. There's a lot on here. It's all one article. But you're going to write 3 paragraphs from this one article. So what we're going to do is mark each paragraph. It's called annotate. When you write notes on your article to help you remember later what these paragraphs are about. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. And you guys remember when we were reading about the desert reptiles, you underlined information that you thought was interesting and important. Remember doing that? You're going to do the same thing with this one. I'm just going to go one paragraph at a time. And we're going to start with this first paragraph. So get your pencil ready or your pen, whatever you're using right now. And get ready to underline information that's important or interesting.
Okay.
And you don't want to underline every single sentence, even though you may think every single sentence is interesting. You're going to try to pick and choose just a few for each paragraph. Okay, so don't underline everything, but underline the things that you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Or if it's important information like where Antarctica is or how big it is or things like that. Those are important. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to start reading. You guys underline important or interesting facts. Antarctica is a continent of extreme cold. Twice as big as Australia, it is the 5th largest of the Earth's continents. Antarctica is almost completely covered by snow and ice. However, it is actually a desert with less than 4 inches of rain or snow each year. It is, in fact, the largest desert in the world. Atop the land, snow has piled up over the centuries, forming thick ice sheets, huge glaciers, and towering icebergs. In many places, the continent is covered with ice over a mile thick, or 1.6 kilometers. Scientists estimate that over 90% of all the ice on Earth is found in Antarctica. Due to warmer air and ocean temperatures, some scientists are concerned that Antarctica's snow and ice might melt. If all the ice in Antarctica were to melt, the sea levels would rise around 200 feet or 60 meters. Okay, so have you guys noticed that if you've ever been to the snow before and you see that snow is starting to melt, that it creates a lot of water? And that's what they're talking about. Some scientists think that in Antarctica, if all that snow were to melt, it would go to the ocean and fill up the ocean more, which is interesting. So I noticed something about that paragraph. I noticed that it's mostly about ice. You know how it talks about how it's covered with snow and ice, and then how thick the ice is, and that if the ice were to melt, like it mentions ice a lot in that paragraph. Did you guys notice that too? Okay. So what I want you to do in the margin here, on the side, I want you to write ice, like that, next to that paragraph. That's called annotating, when you make a note or write something on your article that reminds you what that paragraph is about. So that whole paragraph is about ice. Did you guys get a chance to underline some stuff in that paragraph? Okay, good. How about you, Christopher? Did you underline some things? Good. And then write ice here. I'm going to keep going then. We're going to do this, the next paragraph. And I'm going to read it, and then you guys do the same thing. You're going to look for interesting or important information and underline it, and then we're going to decide what this paragraph is about. Okay. The coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth was taken there in 1983, near the South Pole, negative 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit. By the way, I'm going to pause there for a second. Have you ever heard of a negative temperature before? You guys ever heard of that before? No? Okay, so usually in California, like today, maybe where you guys are at is probably 50 degrees outside, maybe 60 degrees outside. In the summertime, it gets kind of hot. It might be like 110 degrees outside on a really, really hot day. So think of 110 on a hot day. And then when the temperature goes down, it'll go down like to 90, and then 80, and then 70, and then 60, 50, 40. It can go down really low in the winter time. But if you keep going down 30, 20, 10, 0, when you get to 0, if you go past that, if you keep going down past 0, that's when you get into the negative numbers. You'll learn about that in math eventually, but it'll go down -10, -20, -30, -40, and all the way down. Now you can imagine -128.6 degrees. That's beyond freezing. That's like cold, 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 cold. That's when like you can't even walk outside with a glass of water because the water would just freeze like that instantly. You wouldn't even be able to drink it. It's like, boom, ice, the whole thing. So it's so, so cold. It's colder than your freezer. Yeah, that's cold. Okay, I'm going to keep going. When blizzards occur, they usually do not bring new snowfall. They are caused by powerful winds over 100 miles per hour at times. That blast old snow off mountain peaks. Winter and summer at the poles are both 6 months long. There is no spring or fall. So in Antarctica, it's either summer or winter. That's it. Nothing in between. So what do you think that paragraph was mostly about? I mean, it's talking about like the temperature. It's talking about the wind. It's talking about snowfall a little bit. Anybody have any ideas of what would you call that? All that we just talked about. I would say weather. It's about the weather, right? Let's put that in the margin. You might have to write it a little bit to the side so you can fit it in. Weather. That paragraph was mostly about weather. So you can write that next to that paragraph so that can help you remember what that one was about. Okay, you guys good so far? Give me a thumbs up if you're good. Okay, all right, good. Let's turn to the back now. And there's more. We're going to keep going. This is one big article. And you're going to do the same thing again with this paragraph. Underline things that are interesting or important to you. And then we'll talk about what this one's mostly about. Okay. In these extreme conditions, few plants or animals can survive. There are numerous species of mosses and liverworts, but only 2 species of flowering plants which grow in the summer and disappear at the beginning of winter. In or near the coastal waters, seabirds such as king penguins, emperor penguins, and snow petrels have adapted to the harsh climate. Seals and whales are the only mammals found in Antarctica. Searching for food during the summer months, they escape the severe winds while swimming in the ocean. At the end of summer, they migrate north to warmer regions and return again only when summer approaches. What do you think that paragraph was about? Anybody have any ideas? Go ahead, Lacey.
Animals.
Yeah, I agree. It was about the animals. I mean, it talked a little bit about plants, but I agree. It's mostly about animals.
Yeah.
You agree, Liana? That's good. Okay, last paragraph. We do the same thing. Keep underlining. And then we'll decide what the last paragraph's about. Antarctica was first sighted in 1820 and probably first touched by Captain John Davis, a sealer, who claimed to have set foot on the ice in 1821. Over the next 100 years, there were many expeditions to explore the continent, some of which resulted in serious injury and death. In 1902, the crew of the Scottish National Antarctic Expedition erected the first building out of rocks. Racing with Englishman Robert Scott, Norwegian Roald Amundsen, and his team reached the South Pole in 1911. Today, there are about 70 permanent research stations visited by scientists from over 30 different nations that have signed the Antarctic Treaty. During the summertime, the population of researchers and tourists can reach 4,000 to 5,000 people. Interesting. So that had some, what do you guys think? What was that paragraph mostly about? Have any ideas? Lacey, what do you think?
Like people discovering Antarctica?
Yeah, exactly. I think we could just put people. It's the people that discovered it. Very good. Okay, the next step is to list these possible topics. So each paragraph has a different topic, okay? We have the first paragraph, we had ice, and then weather, and then back here we had animals and people. Yep, those are all the different possible topics. Now go back to your keyword outline here for a minute, and I want you to turn it to the back side of that keyword outline, okay? So turn your keyword outline over. So are you with us, Christopher? Okay, so turn it over to the back side. And then I want you to write on the top here, I want you to put possible topics and then underline that. Possible topics like that. When you write a report, you have the main thing you have is the subject, right? That's the main thing you're talking about. So for the subject today is Antarctica. But within that subject, Antarctica, we have lots of choices with topics. Those are the paragraphs. So remember, the first paragraph, we said ice. It was mostly about ice. So underneath possible topics, I'm going to have you skip a line and put ice. And then Liana, what was the second paragraph about? What did we write on that one?
The second paragraph?
Yeah, on the second paragraph.
Weather.
Weather, good. So skip a line and put weather. We're making a list now of possible topics. Christopher, what about on the back side? What was the next paragraph what word did we put in that paragraph? Animals, good. So skip a line, write animals. And then Lacey, how about the last paragraph? What did we put on that one?
People.
People, good. Nice. There's our list. Those are what each paragraph was about. Now in our report, we only have to write 3 paragraphs, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 choices here. So we don't have to write about all of these topics. We're going to pick which ones we want to write about. For this week, I'm going to pick for you. I'm going to pick ice. So go ahead and circle that word ice. And then next week, you guys are going to pick the next topic to write about. But for this week, let's focus on ice. That's going to be our first topic. So turn your keyword outline back to this side. And our subject is Antarctica. So we're going to write that word first next to Roman numeral 1. Let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see this a little bit better. Okay. So next to Roman numeral 1, put Antarctica, comma, and then ice. So whenever you build a keyword outline for a report, you always start with the subject. The subject is Antarctica. And then you list the topic. This paragraph is going to be all about ice, only about ice. And then we need one more word because you know the rule, we have to have 3 in your keyword outline. And I'm thinking, what is a word that we can put here that kind of describes the ice on Antarctica? I remember, oh, you have a word, Lacey? What's your idea?
It said extremely cold.
Extremely cold, yes. Yes, let's see, would that work there? Because we're talking about the ice. You know what else it said? It said that the whole continent is covered in ice. So I'm thinking maybe we could use the word covered here, but then we'll talk about how it's extremely cold in the next one. I do like that, but let's put covered. So we have Antarctica ice covered. It's completely covered with ice. Okay, and now looking at just the ice paragraph, we're going to ignore all the other paragraphs right now. But I do like that, Lacey, that they said it was extremely cold. And what's another word on that sentence we could add? Because, you know, we can have 3. So extremely and cold is 2. What's one other word we can put there from that first sentence?
Antarctica extremely cold.
We could, but we know we're writing about Antarctica, but there's another word in that sentence. You know that word?
Continent.
Continent. That's what I'm thinking. Because if people don't know what Antarctica is, they might think it's a city or
Yeah.
a state or something. So yeah, let's put, I like that. Continent, comma, extremely. And by the way, that's a great LY word to use. You've already got one there for your checklist. That kind of works out nicely. How about Liana? What's something else that you have underlined in that paragraph all about ice? What's something else that you thought was interesting?
Um, it rains or snows each year.
It rains and snows each year. Yep. How much does it rain or snow? Did it say? How many inches?
Um, less than 4 inches.
Okay, good. So how could we write that in our outline? What do you think, Liana?
Um, we can put
Well, we could write the number 4 for 4 inches. That would be
yeah.
easy. And then maybe the word less. How about we do less, comma, 4. And then what if we put IN for inches? Will you guys remember that if we put IN?
Yeah.
And then rain, and then can we, oh, we do have room for snow. Rain and snow. There you go. Less, 4 inches, rain, snow. That'll work. Oh, each year. Forgot about that.
Yeah, me too.
Can we put YR for year? Will that will help you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, then we don't have to count that each year. Or if you haven't written it yet, you could do like a little snowflake instead of the word snow or something like that. Christopher, what's something else you have underlined from the ice paragraph?
is in fact the largest desert in the world.
Okay, so turn towards your computer and read that again because I couldn't quite hear you.
It is in fact the largest desert in the world.
Good. Okay, Christopher. So how can we put that on our outline? What words should we use?
Largest desert world.
I like that. That is interesting because I didn't think of Antarctica as a desert. Sometimes, like remember when we learned about the Sahara Desert? I always think of a desert as hot. This one's definitely not hot.
Yeah.
And then Lacey, what else do you have underlined there?
Has like huge up over the centuries forming thick ice sheets and huge glaciers.
Glaciers, and towering icebergs. Those are really good words. So what do you think how do we put that in our outline? Do you know what sorry, really quick. Do you know what a glacier is or iceberg?
I think so.
It's like big, huge, gigantic chunks of ice, like way bigger than anything we've ever seen, like bigger than your house, like huge. So there's a difference between glaciers and icebergs. I think icebergs are smaller, but glaciers are like the size of a city, like huge chunks of ice. So, okay, so what were you going to say about how to put that on the outline?
I was gonna say we can put huge glaciers in. I don't really know.
I like that. What about huge glaciers and then icebergs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. So huge, comma, glaciers, that's spelled with a C, and then icebergs. Those are words that we don't use very often because in California, we don't have glaciers and icebergs. Those are special only to Antarctica. I think Alaska has some too, but Antarctica has the biggest ones for sure. Chunks of ice, like bigger than you can even imagine.
Yeah.
So we have one more spot here for one more fact. Anybody want to volunteer? What's something else that you underlined in your ice paragraph? Raise your hand if you have something else you want to add here. Okay, Lacey, what else do you have?
90% of all the ice on Earth is found in Antarctica.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's almost 100%. 90% is pretty close to 100%. I like that too. So how could we write that?
90%, and then we can draw like little Earth,
Okay.
maybe. And then we can put Antarctica.
Okay, what if we could write the word or the number 90, then we don't have to count that, huh?
Yeah.
90, and then do you guys know how to do a percent sign? Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's like a little tiny O and a diagonal line and then a little tiny O like that. 90%, that's how you do percent.
And then I was thinking when we did the little Earth thing, it can point to like the top or the bottom because Antarctica is somewhere next to that.
Yeah, you're right. It's at the bottom of the earth. Yep.
Because it's cold, and that's where Antarctica is.
So if we do 90% of, we probably need the word ice in there somewhere, huh? 90% maybe ice next. And then you want to draw earth.
Yeah, and like point to the bottom.
So I'm going to do a little circle and then some little squiggly lines in here that looks like continents. I don't know, your earth probably looks better than that. But if we draw an arrow to the bottom, that might make you think of Antarctica and not the earth. I'm wondering if we just leave it earth and then
Antarctic.
and then write the word, yeah, or found. We need found too. Found, because we have room for that, and then Antarctica. Does that make sense, Lacey?
Yeah.
90% ice, earth, found, Antarctica. Yeah, that makes pretty good sense. And we only have 3 words, ice, found, and Antarctica. That was good. I like that. You were on the right track with that. Okay, so you have your first topic done about ice. This is all about the ice. So your homework is going to be to write that paragraph using this keyword outline right here. You guys did a really good job on that. So let's look at the checklist really quick together, because you're going to use this new checklist now. This is for Antarctica. And you already know about all the stuff on top here. You don't need a title yet because we don't do the title until we're all the way done with it. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can wait on the title. And then your dress ups. Oh, don't forget topic clincher. That's still here on this checklist. So remember, that's 2 to 3. Wait, let's do the rule together. Do you guys remember how it goes? Like this? The topic sentence
Sentence or
and the clincher sentence
sentence
must
must
repeat or reflect 2 or 3 key words. Good, you guys know it. So do that again in this paragraph, topic clincher words. And then you've got your dress up words here. ly adverb, who, which clause, strong verb, and because clause. Here's a clue for you though, because this report is all about a place. So you're not going to use the word who here because you're not talking about any person or, it's not about people, it's about a place. So remember that when you look for a spot for your which clause, use the word which, not who. Go ahead, Lacey.
And if say we chose if we chose the people paragraph, we can put like the who, which.
Good. That is a really good point. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You can finish.
Like if you put the who with the person, it makes more sense to do it there than anywhere else.
Yes. I love how you said that. That was perfectly said, Lacey. When you get to that paragraph, if you want to write about the people, then you can use the word who because that makes more sense. You're talking about the people. Very good. I'm impressed at you. So, but this paragraph about the ice, obviously you're not going to say who when you're talking about ice, because that's not a person, that's a thing, right? So keep that in mind when you're going through this checklist, when you're writing your report. And then I don't think you're going to have a problem with the banned words this time because nobody's talking in your story or your report. And they're not seesaw, think, thought, go, went. You're not going to worry about that, but just make sure you don't use any of the banned words. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we have a little bit of time, so I'm thinking we can kind of move on to the next paragraph here. Wait, let me think about that for a second. Actually, I'm gonna have you guys do something different. I was gonna have you move on, but we'll do that next week. You guys remember at the beginning of the school year, we practiced looking at the checklist, thinking of a complete sentence, and then looking up and saying the sentence. Remember back when we practiced?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to practice that again right now because we haven't done it in a while. So I'm going to turn off that on my computer. I want you guys to just look at your keyword outline that you just made. And then I'm going to have you guys take turns looking at the words. Think of a sentence, a complete sentence in your head, and then look up at the computer and say the sentence. Okay, let's practice that. So I'm going to have Liana look at Roman numeral 1. You've got Antarctica, ice, and covered. So look at that and think for a second of a sentence and then tell us a sentence.
It is massive. It
You need some help with that? Or you got it? You're thinking. I'll give you some time to think.
Maybe Antarctica is completely covered in ice.
Yes, but this time say that sentence again, but look up at the computer like that.
Antarctica is completely covered in ice.
Yes, good job. I like it. Good job. Okay, Lacey, how about you do the regular number 1, continent extremely cold. Think of a sentence and look up and say a sentence.
The continent is extremely cold.
Nice. Good job. And then Christopher, look at number 2 underneath that, regular number 2. You have less 4 inches, rain, snow, year. Think of a sentence and look up and say the sentence.
Less than 4 inches of rain and snow.
That was a good start. But you didn't use year yet.
Less than 4 inches of rain and snow in a year.
In a year, is that what you said? Okay, so you should start with there is. There is less than 4 inches of rain and snow in a year. That would be a complete sentence. So try saying that, but look up at the camera. Start with there is and see if you can do it without looking at the rest.
There is less than 4 inches of snow and rain in a year.
There you go. Perfect. Good job, Christopher. Okay, back to you, Liana. Number 3, largest desert world.
It is the largest desert in the world.
Good. I like it. Good job. And then Lacey, number 4, huge glaciers, icebergs.
It has huge glaciers and icebergs.
Good. Very nice. It's okay. You had to look down for a second, but you looked back up. So that was good. And then Christopher, the last one, number 5, 90% ice, earth found Antarctica.
Has 90% of the ice in the world.
Say it over again. I think I missed the first word you said. I think you had it.
90% of the ice in the world is in Antarctica.
Good. I like that. Very good, you guys. You're good at that. So remember the topic clinchers. look at Roman numeral 1 really quick. You already have Antarctica and you have Antarctica here. So that's one topic clincher you could use is Antarctica and Antarctica. But also notice you have ice and ice. That's 2. So if you use both of those words in the first and the last sentence, then you've already got your topic clinchers ready to go. That'll work. All right, you guys. Good job today. Super proud of you, all of you. And you're going to write 1 paragraph on your report on Antarctica. Don't forget your grammar. And then I'll see you next week, and happy Valentine's Day.
Okay, happy Valentine's Day. Bye.
Bye. See you next week.